Welcome back to the Enough is Enough podcast, the podcast that helps you get away from the narc. Today's topic, the narc's personal attacks, part 2. In the previous podcast, we covered some of the narc's personal attacks, and now we're going to cover more in today's podcast. Now, it's come to my attention that 60% of you are not subscribed through the YouTube channel for this podcast. But you're listening, I think, enjoying and benefiting from it. So it helps our ministry grow. It helps us reach more people and, frankly, save more abused spouses, if you will subscribe. So I'm asking you to do that. You know, it can't hurt to ask. Phil Dugas of Dugas Creative says it cannot hurt to ask. So I'm asking. Okay. Now today, I cover more evil, vicious personal attacks the narc will hit you with in the divorce. It will help you to know what's coming. At the end of this podcast, I'll mention some helpful resources. Okay, more personal attacks. You know how scientists take one chipped tooth and create an entire dinosaur? The narc will take anything from your past and use it to create a profile of a crazy, unstable, and messed up person. He knows personal, private things about you, doesn't he? And he'll use them against you. Your dysfunctional family, like it's your fault you're in a dysfunctional family. Your conflict with your parents and siblings, and everybody has those, even Dr. Clarke. Your conflict with friends, okay, they happen. He'll use them against you. Any jobs you've lost or left, and of course it will be your fault. He'll make that clear in his narrative. Any alcohol or drug use, even if it was years ago, will be brought up. Your previous romantic relationships, including marriages, and of course all the failures there will be your failures. Your struggles with anxiety and depression or any emotional abuse or any emotional issue in your life. Any counseling you've had. If you've seen a counselor, that must mean you're crazy. Of course it doesn't, but he'll make it seem that way. The medication you've taken for emotional issues. Any abortions you've had. Any sexual abuse you have suffered. This is how nasty a person we're talking about is. Sexual abuse, if you've suffered that in your past, and he knows that, it's incredibly private, he'll tell other people, for the purpose of making you look like you're sick or distorted or twisted. That's evil. Negative things you've said about others in the privacy of your relationship will be broadcast. He'll use your personality traits against you as well. Normal traits are turned into huge negatives in the crazy narc's mind, part of his narrative, part of his smear campaign. If you're outgoing and friendly, just as a person, you are a flirt who craves the attention of all members of the opposite sex. You probably had any number of affairs. Really? If you're assertive and confident, you are controlling, a controlling bee. If you're a quiet person, you're boring and won't open up. You never met his emotional needs. If you're not affectionate, you hate sex and are frigid. I mean, this is what he'll say to people and to you. If you're type A and you're a driven person, like many women are, God made you that way, you're a workaholic who neglects him and the kids. If you're creative, you're an irresponsible flake. If you're messy, and you know, some people are messy. Dr. Clarke, I'm a messy person. You can ask the blonde. But in his way of thinking, you're an absolute slob and a hoarder who forces the family to live in filth. You can see everything is used against you. And you're going to face a cascade of accusations. In his massive smear campaign, he'll tell you and others that you are, listen, and this is not even a complete list. Here's what he'll come up with. Emotionally unstable, crazy, mentally ill, suicidal, irrational, bipolar, a rageaholic, violent. None of these things are true. But he'll convince others. Homicidal, you have threatened his life. Well, of course you haven't threatened his life. A liar, you're an abuser, you're a narcissist, you're a hypocrite, you're a bad mother, you're an unfit mother, you're an awful Christian. You're not a Christian at all. You're a man-hater. Actually, you just hate him. An adulteress. You have had multiple affairs. You probably didn't realize that, but you have. Really? In fact, that's probably true of him. You're bisexual. Did you realize you're bisexual? You're a lesbian. Did you have any idea? Well, of course not. But that's the only explanation he'll tell people for you not wanting him to touch you. You don't want him to touch you because you hate his guts and you try to get away from him. You're a drug addict. You're an alcoholic. Here's one of the classics. You're a borderline. Oh, yes, you are. Are you kidding? Basically, he'll describe you as the worst person who ever walked the face of the earth. And nobody knows because they don't live with you. And because the narc is a wonderful actor and a liar who believes his own lies, he'll be persuasive. Threats, all kinds of threats he's going to dump on you. in the divorce process. The narc will throw threat after threat at you. He will certainly try to make good on these threats, so take them seriously. He'll tell you, I will leave you with no money. I'll drag the divorce out as long as I can. I'll get full custody of the kids. No, he won't, but he's going to threaten that. I'll turn the kids against you. He'll try to do that. I'll get a protective order so you can't see the kids. Many will try that. I'll get your family and friends to turn on you. I'll turn everyone you know against you. I'll get our pastor to do church discipline on you. I've seen this happen 1,000,000 times. That's likely to happen. You leave the church. I'll expose all your secrets. I'll get you fired from your job. This is why you tell your employer what's going on and to expect the narc to try to reach out to him. I'll get full custody of the dog. He even wants the dog when the dog loves you and hates him. I'll never stop making your life a living hell. That's what he'll threaten. Oh, he'll try to bring that to fruition, I guarantee you. I'll find a new woman and the kids will love her. You already know to give him no response to his attacks, accusations, and threats. Never a response. But document each one of these threats. Keep copies of emails and texts if he's stupid and arrogant enough to send them to you in these forms, and give them to your attorney. You might be able to use them in the legal process. Now, next week, in the next podcast, I'm going to talk about the war over your kids, what the narc will do and what you can do. Here are some resources as I end this podcast. Get Escaping Your Narcissist, your guide to the divorce process. If you're divorced and struggling with guilt and shame, get my brand new ebook, Stop Feeling Guilty for Your Divorce. Many have ordered that, and it's making a big difference. Very easy to get stuck in shame after a divorce, even when it wasn't your fault. You can also do a phone advice session with me if you want. Many are doing that. All these resources are on my website, davideclarkephd.com. And join our anti-narc family. Subscribe to my podcast and to my YouTube channel. Follow me on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook.